A very good afternoon and welcome back to Trondheim for the second race of the day. It's the big one, the men's 50 kilometre, and if it is anything like the women's 30, it's going to be a cracker. Do not miss this one. They're through the halfway stage. We're joining it for the second half of the race, and the story so far is that Alex Harvey has the lead. Before we catch up with them, let's just update you on the women's situation. Well, it was possibly the best race of the season, and an unbelievable effort from Petra Majic, who lost touch at the halfway stage, lost her skis in the transition, but came back, fought hard to overtake Kowalczyk of Poland. So 100 points going to Majic. She only picked up 5 bonus World Cup points compared to the 45 that Kowalczyk gained. So it's certainly tightened up the World Cup standings, but Majic's delighted with yet another victory. She's the queen of sprints, and today she wins the longest distance that they race over the season. So a massive effort from her, and she certainly deserves to hang on to that yellow bib as the tour goes to Stockholm and the next round of the World Cup, and that will be a sprint. Here are the World Cup standings. In the distance standings, Kowalczyk still leading. Saarinen started strongly, made a bid at halfway but failed, and finds herself trailing by some margin now in the distance World Cup. Shevchenko down in 8th, former winner of that title back in 2000. I was going to say 2003. It was actually in 99 when Shevchenko won the distance World Cup. In the overall, and hopefully we'll get the overall figures shortly. There we have it. Majic's leading, Mike, and she doesn't have that 100-point margin anymore, so she could lose it in the next race. How damaging do you think those bonus points could prove against her?
They could prove, of course. Kowalczyk picking up 45 bonus points. It's going to run to the line. I think it's going to run right down to the last day. The fight that those two girls, Kowalczyk and Majic, are showing, it's exceptional. It's beyond the normal. And I think that was the race of Petra Majic. That was the race of her life.
Well, they've only got 4 days to recover before they enter the sprint race in Stockholm. I think both Majic and Kowalczyk will enter every race from now until the end of the season to try and secure that title. One of the best fights we've had for a long, long time, and I hope you can tune in and watch most of it live on Eurosport. In the men's race, the crowd hung around. The weather has improved. The sun has come out. The clouds dispersing, and this is classic West Coast weather for Norway, although Bergen renowned for its rain. Trondheim gets a little better. We're some way north of Bergen. 4 degrees. It was +2 for the ladies' race. Now, Mike, how is that going to affect? We're certainly on Clister. The question is, how many times are we going to see them changing their skis?
I think we'll see them change certainly over 3 times, maybe up to 5 times. And look at the climb out of the stadium, and again, the total climb, it's a season record, 1,698 metres of total climb. Good recoveries there, though, after the extreme climbs out from the stadium area. Enough time just to get your breathing back to attack the next hill.
Well, this is every bit as hard as the race that it replaces, the Holmenkollen 50, and Trondheim putting on a good show. The tracks are in good condition, the crowds are out in numbers, and we'll just flick through the start list. Anders Sodergren, one of the favourites for today, a distance specialist, but he prefers the skating, to be honest, the freestyle race, so I'm not sure. Jack Mai, all the Estonians, in fact, very good at the classic. Virpalu Mai need to be watched, 13 and 14. Germans, Mike, Axel Teichmann didn't do the World Championship 50.
No, he didn't, and although he did take the medals in the relays, the team relay, which was in Classic, but outside of that 30th and 38th position, I don't think Teichmann is on top form.
Well, he's up there in the front row, wearing the yellow bib. Dario Colonia of Switzerland looking to get a step closer to claiming the overall crown for this season. It's a fast start from Colonia, just wants to get clear of the trouble, needs to be a little bit careful. We saw how important the pacing was in the women's 50 kilometre. He went off hard, and of course, as I mentioned earlier, Alex Harvey, he got himself to the front of the field, having started with bib number 25, so he worked his way through 35, worked his way through the field, and really controlled the pace all the way up to the halfway marker. And here he is, Canada's Alex Harvey. This race effectively or the Holman Column 50, won by his father, Pierre, back in 1988, just weeks after the 88 Olympic Games.
This is so impressive. Had a chat with Alex on the bus leading up the stadium in Liberec. He's a really nice guy. He's 20 years old, Patrick, and he's leading this. He hasn't given any of the rest much respect. He's leading it by a huge margin as well.
25 seconds between first and 10th into the stadium for the exchange. A number of skiers going straight through, deciding not to change. Dario Colonia amongst them. The men have learnt exactly where their skis are. You may have seen the mayhem when the women came in. Two of the three leaders had no idea where their skis were placed. So very rare situation indeed.
And they've rectified the problem, actually, Patrick. They have now got numbers alongside the skis, far more sensible.
Well, they did have numbers before, but they just put all the Norwegian skis together, and then they had the bib number next to it. So it was there. It was just that I think the likes of Kowalczyk and Saarinen, and particularly Petra Majic, were expecting to get numbers 1, 2 and 3 right at the top, but that's not the way it turned out.
Not the way it was. Alex Harvey, he's just everyone is now absolutely taking this as serious threat and attack. Look at the intensity now. They're trying to haul this young man back in. All the contenders are there after only 1 hour 11 of racing and 26.7 kilometers. So it's a serious challenge out there out front. They realize they can't let him go too far away. So a chance to recover. They took some drink on board at the top of that hill, down into the tuck position. And that's Alex taking on some more fluid. Well, maybe that's a better place actually to take your drink on, because you're not gasping for air quite as much.
And it's not too fast. If it's too fast, you spill 90% of it while you take it from your coach's hands. So Harvey going well. I wonder what his tactics are from now. It's a lonely occasion. Yes, you get a burst, a boost from being out in front. But there's no doubt that slipstreaming someone else is maybe as much as 5-6% easier than leading the way.
It is, and even working in this pack where there's a lot of change in the lead here, almost like the cycling pack trying to haul him in. It's an absolutely, they're taking him so seriously now. The Germans leading the chase at the moment, Fulbrich and Angerer. Good to see Angerer back.
Yeah, Angerer's going well. A man who won the overall World Cup in 2006. He went on to win it again in 2007. And certainly all his fans in Traunstein will be glued into this one to see if he can win the longest race of the year. Of course, the 50k at the World Championships as well. Petter Northug, the winner of that event, and there he is, right on cue. Can he win it 2 days after getting second place in the shortest event of the year?
He's had an amazing season. I keep thinking, well, surely today he'll be tired, but he seems to keep on fighting. And in the last 7 races, he's had, 4 victories?
So the top 8 all through. Jauhijärvi of Finland going well. Virpalu, a classic specialist, just 7.2 off the pace. He's going very well. And that lead from Alex Harvey is now being destroyed by Angerer, who bit by bit is clawing him back. And as the train come past, Harvey would be well advised just to get into the middle of the group and save some energy all the way through to 45 kilometres.
It would.
Or do you think he's just trying to make a name for us? What's he doing? What's he thinking going out in front of all these big names? Sure, don't show them too much respect, but what is he thinking? Does he think he's strong enough to ski away from them?
Maybe it is, you mentioned, lacking a little bit of experience, but the pace was variable and then it was comfortably slow. And he must have thought, okay, I'm going to shake this up. I'm going to try and get a long lead here without them noticing me, but they have noticed.
Welcome back to Trondheim. Beautiful spring sunshine now for the men's 50 kilometre, and the leader Alex Harvey is still there, but he must be able to hear the slapping skis of Toby Angerer behind them. Little slip from Harvey, maybe the wax ceasing to work. We saw the importance of getting the right skis and the importance of actually changing your skis in the women's race. But Mike, a number of this leading group going straight through.
They are. Maybe they'll be selecting their skis or picking them up the next time round. They have the option to do that, and just by chance earlier with Madic picking up her skis with only 7Ks to go, somehow that played into her hands. She was so annoyed to miss the change, but when she got them, she felt good again.
Dario Cologna, the World Cup leader, off the pace at the moment. Now we should update you on the points. Cologna has 1,006 points. He's some 54 points clear of Peter Northug in second place. Peter Northug is up in that leading group, or the second group. There he is in the red for Norway. And so at the moment, if things stay as they are, Peter Northug is going to close the gap down to around 15-20 points, especially if he can pick up a couple of points, bonus points on the sprints halfway round.
It's all for the grabbing today, and it looks like at the moment advantage, of course, Northug. Dario didn't look well, there he is in yellow behind bib 7. That's behind Legkov. He doesn't quite look as flowing, as easy, and look at the slipping there. He's had to go into the herringbone run. There's Jochen Behler. I think he'll be quite pleased to see Filbrecht and, of course, Angler up there leading the chase.
How many of them watching wearing pulse watches today, Mike, out of this lot?
I think most of the athletes will be wearing. There's only one or two connected to what we will see in the screen. But I think it is important to, like Alex Harvey, he obviously just decided to make that break, make that move. He must have been way over the top, I would say up to about 94% of his maximum. And now all that work has been pulled back. What, on 30 kilometres?
A lung full of barbecue smoke as they go over the high point of the course. I think I'd be tempted to stop and have a sausage. But,
it's amazing the sensations. You're going around that track, and you can obviously all that smoke you can smell, and even the wine and the drink along the trackside. Just you're in the zone of pushing hard, but you do pick up on all those senses.
And bit by bit, Angler is getting closer, just 1.4 seconds now. The question is, will Harvey stay in the group as they come past him? I think he's moving reasonably well. No real sign of a breakdown in his technique. Huge amount of young fans out on the tracks. This is what it's all about, the culture of Norway. And they're brought up with the cross-country skiing. They're brought up with the alpine skiing. They're fans of every winter sport.
They love it. There's good to see another Canadian in the top 10, Devon Kershaw. I think his pacing has been more steady throughout. He's going for the 50, not the 30.
Northug, the great sprinter, has lost contact with that leading group, which, in fact, that was Cologna, my mistake. Cologna in the yellow. Northug is still there in around 5th place at the moment, standing tall in the red suit. For Sweden, up in the leading group, we've got Danny Rickardsson, which is great news for them. And Södergren, Mike, no sign of him. I think he'd prefer it was a freestyle race.
I think he would. He was up there in the early stages of the race. I thought he might be up there throughout the whole race, Södergren. But clearly he hasn't recovered from the sickness, the ill health that he had towards the end of the World Championships. One of the fastest sections of the course, and a soft snow on the outside. You've got to pick the line very, very carefully. And suddenly the train is 9 strong as they work their way through past the 30-kilometre stage. 20 kilometres or so still to go here in Trondheim. And a lot of status involved with today's race. Toby Angra, Mike, looking pretty comfortable. He does. I really had... he was my favourite to win the 50 kilometre at the World Championships. He was rattled, he was annoyed with the ski situation in the 15 kilometre. But he didn't have the pace. He couldn't snap Northug earlier on. And as soon as Northug's there with 800 to go, I don't think there's anyone that can touch him.
Angra wearing 11. Alongside him in 17 is Vilizahin of Russia for the Dynamo Ski Club. And another change of the lead. And Andrus Virpelu and Sami Jauhijärvi actually taking the lead for Finland at the moment. And Yahayev, he's been the #1 Finn really for a number of years, Mike. Do you think he's fulfilled his potential yet, or do you think we've got more to come?
I honestly think we have more to come, especially in the skating. We know he's very good in the classic technique, and he really has put a lot of effort into change his skating. And next year, this summer on roller skis, if he works on that more, I think we'll see the real deal Yahayev next season.
Yahayev now 27, and he's the only Finn in the top 30 of the World Cup standings in the men's tour. When you look at the women's tour and you've got Maranen, Saarinen, Koitinen all in the top 6, you wonder what's going on. Why haven't the Finnish men got the same sort of strength?
They're getting it, they're finding it. Of course, the relay, I think, at the World Championships, it just showed us as a quartet. They seem to lift, and that's largely team spirit. They raised their performance levels to take the bronze medal in the 4x10 relay. Sweden's been the big surprise this season for me, though, Patrick. They've got a great coach in Gunde Svan. They've got that lorry we saw at the start of the programme, their waxing cabin, 150,000 euros of modified truck, so that they can wax their skis and keep the skis carefully in between and travelling to different locations.
And no one in the top 15 of the standings.
It's quite extraordinary. Yeah, well, a huge amount of money has gone into them.
Maybe next year it will happen. Does it prove that a good athlete doesn't necessarily make a good coach?
Possibly. I mean, it's certainly when Gunde Svan came on board, it changed things. He gave the team a lot of belief, but yeah, maybe not this season, maybe next season. Yeah,
it takes a little bit of time. Gunde Svan was always confident to do his own training. Question is, do his tactics, does his knowledge apply to athletes who may not have been of the same quality as him? He was very methodical, Mike. He had his training written down for the whole year, and the next year he would limit the increase in training to 5%. Now let's see the standings as they come through. 33.2, and they're into the ski exchange zone. I think everyone this time deciding that they need some fresh wax, some faster glide as well. They find the skis without any trouble at all. Going straight through, is that Rickardson who's gone straight through? We'll find out in a moment. Peter Northug, very sharp on the bindings. I don't think I could get down that far at this stage of a race. It always amazes me that they manage to change the bindings in one foul swoop. And very seldom do you see them clip them shut and then ski off, having not put the little bar at the front of the boot that slips into a tiny little slot. Precision exchange. Yahayev has gone through for Finland. Angara in second. Jens Svaredal, haven't seen too much of him so far, 40 seconds behind. He's not out of it quite yet. There's still a long way to go, just under 18 kilometres.
And Oddbjorn Helmershed, 15th position, 50 seconds behind. You know, that's still not out of the race whatsoever at this stage.
So Yahayev, Angara, Villiers Ahin and Alex Harvey, the top 4 in the men's 50 at the moment. The pace has suddenly picked up, a little opening of a gap between the leading 3 and the chasing group of 3. This group were all glued together as they came in. Shows the importance of a quick, sharp exchange, Mike. Rickardson of Sweden has lost a little bit of ground, and Philbrick behind him also losing a bit of ground as well. Philbrick 30 now, probably in his prime, and so don't be too surprised if he comes through to claim a good result. Best he's got so far this year, 7th. That came in Val di Fiemme in the 20-kilometre mass start then, in the classic style as well. So I think he fancies his chances of getting top 5 today.
Just remembering back to Sapporo, the World Championships 2 years ago, and Philbrick, he shows his strength in these longer distances. Remember, he was 3rd on that day, behind the 2 Norwegians who took the titles, the gold and silver.
I don't think there's been a concerted effort by those leading 3 to break clear. I think they're quite happy still to take it steady. They know how important it is to save something for the last lap.
Just looking at the lap times, Patrick, so the 4 laps completed so far. The first lap was 19 minutes 55. The second lap was 20 minutes and 54. So that's when Harvey decided it was too slow. And Alex Harvey took it up to a 20-25 lap. And this 4th lap just completed was 20 minutes and 34. So
that first lap a little bit shorter, though, with the start set out that we've got. So that might explain the difference between 1 and 3. And pretty even splits apart from that. The second one, as you say, 25 seconds slower.
Very little in it, and incredibly accurate lapping. So they are just on their safety zone or safety levels, and that's been a separation at the front. We've only got, of course, 8 in this lead group. At the World Championships at this stage, we still had 37 athletes together, but of course that was in the skating technique.
Now, the Russians have certainly hit a rich vein of form since the middle of the World Championships, and they have the second place man at the moment, Vilagzanin, just 0.7 behind Jouhajärvi, the man from Vuokatti up in the north of Finland. Down in 4th, Toby Angra, 2-time overall World Cup winner. Just trying to think of Angra's performances over 50Ks in the past. Certainly he had a good World Championships, 2 silvers and a bronze he brought home. Not a bad haul.
Lukas Bauer, I thought he might rebound after the World Championships when he put all his focus on the World Champs, came away with 1 silver, so disappointed in the relay. The Czech Republic team came 12th, and he didn't actually start in the 50-kilometer freestyle.
Not a good day for Pietro Pillicotra, who leads the Distance World Cup standings. Dario Cologna is also off the pace, and this is playing into the hands of the man lying in second, Peter Northug. Ola Vigen Hadestad third in the overall, not racing today. He's a sprint specialist. Axel Teichmann had an opportunity to move into the top 3, but he's not competitive at the moment, Mike. Outside the top 15. We'll try and get you an update on Teichmann's position. Remember, he didn't race in the World Championship 50, and we can't find him in the top 30 either. So there is a distinct possibility that he's called it a day.
Well, it's certainly not a good day for Teichmann. He started early, he started with purpose, or he started up there with the best.
Is this a little bit of a bid for glory coming from Peter Northug, wanting to push the pace a little, perhaps? It's come up alongside Jouhajärvi. My goodness, he's going for the bonus points and the bonus, and that could be vital come the end of the season. There's no one going to stop him over 20 metres. Jouhajärvi gave it a go, but then he realised he was wasting his time.
Well, Jouhajärvi set that one out from, 3-4 kilometres ago, I think, just to try and take the sting out of Northug, but it didn't work.
Wow, wonderful effort, but we'll see how much that cost him on the last lap, because you cannot put a sprint in up a cruel hill like this. Why can't they have the sprint on a flat section and make it reasonable? So another 15 points gained. Cologna gaining nothing on the sprints today, and so there is a chance that Northug could take the World Cup lead at the end of this race. 1:28.08 the time, 15,000 metres still to go. Now, a 15-kilometre race will take them around 41 minutes. No, it's 40 minutes to 41 in the classic style, sub 44 skating. But they're not going to do this last 15 in 40. I think we're probably looking at 42 minutes.
I think probably. In this heat as well, it's really going to catch them out. It's plus 6 degrees now. Northug, he just times it, leaves it to perfection. And Jouhajärvi realising now that he can't do it. Just for the back at Patrick Rodchev, he's down in 43rd, or the last I can find him, but significantly he's way off the pace. 4 minutes 30 off the pace.
That's roughly 1,500 metres off the leaders. So a tough day for Valery Rodchev, who really made his name as a sprinter back in the 2005 World Championships. But he's done well this year. Through goes Alex Harvey. He's still there, ahead of Angra, ahead of Northug now, who's dropped to the back of that group and now wants to get sucked along as he tries to recover from that sprint effort. Rickardsson of Sweden still there. Philbrick wearing 15 at the back of the small group of two. Anders Södergren has called it a day. What a shame. Sweden's #1 star over the last 5 years, and obviously not feeling too good. He doesn't make a habit of pulling out of races.
He so rarely, if ever, he does that, and he has said that he isn't back to 100% good feeling after his cold during and after the World Championships. Teichmann as well, he's just heard trackside that he's pulled out as well. Quite a number have pulled out. Bacicek, Nossiainen, he has pulled out as well. Yuri Miguel has quit after only 5 minutes of racing.
Well, you might as well make your mind up early. Maybe his skis were not working for him. So after the sprint, we've got a bit of a breakup with Finland's Juha Järvi going along nicely and in front. And Petter Northug, I think, struggling to recover from the effort. The gap of some 50 metres, not decisive as yet, but if they don't do something about it, and if those leading two can get out of sight, that could be very useful for them indeed. Alex Harvey is still there, so we're getting to the stage where we have to take our words back about his tactics early on.
Yeah, he's obviously feeling so good. He didn't do the 50 kilometre at the World Championships. And one we haven't really picked up on in this lead group, of course, Verpelu, their blue suits from the back, but all white from the front. I think he's going to come through possibly to take this one. He won't go with these earlier breaks. It's still a long way to go.
Long drink for Juha Järvi, which is usually a sign that he's starting to feel the strain. Normally it would just be one gulp and on he goes. Vilexanin of Russia still going very nicely. Excellent run from him so far.
Yeah, he does like the long distance. Of course, silver medal in Liberec, but in the freestyle technique.
He's not done a huge amount of racing this year, Vilexanin, and I think now with 32 races on the card, Mike, it's too much to ask for someone to be on top form all the way through, and sometimes it's better to save yourself and do really well in a few races rather than mediocre in the whole lot.
Yeah, and I think we were having that conversation with, like, in the biathlon, Bjorn Dahlen, picking and choosing occasionally, but you have to be there and you have to try and notch up as many World Cup points like Petter Northug. He's managed to keep the momentum throughout the whole season, although in fairness to Northug, his December racing certainly wasn't anywhere as good as his January and February.
Well, I'm so glad that the fans have turned out to cheer this one on. The sunshine certainly has helped here in Trondheim. Beautiful setting, wonderful tracks. No one can criticise them, especially as the temperature's around +4. Now, the problem the athletes have got is when the hills are in the sun, the wax tends to slip. When the hills are in the shade, it tends to grip a bit. That's exactly the same situation as we usually get in the Holmenkollen, and it's very familiar indeed. So I don't think the athletes will really feel the difference. The only thing is, I'm not sure whether the King's here to present the prizes.
I wonder. The spectators have certainly come out. It's certainly reminiscent of Oslo, and we'll see that at the World Championships, cross-country World Championships, when they come to Oslo. That's going to be a great occasion.
Rickardsson a little bit shorter on the drive with the double pole action. I think the lats and the triceps are starting to feel it. Juha Järvi has now had the lead for some 7.5 kilometres, and he's still looking very compact, beautifully balanced, and skiing within himself. Opened up the collar to try and keep the temperature down. So important not to overheat.
It is. I've noticed with Juha Järvi at the front, he's doing a lot more double poling. There's double pole, single leg kick now, but on some of the gentle rises, he was resting his legs and only using his arms. He's still taking his arms farther there than most.
Well, most would choose to go for the two-phase, the classic style, the alternate stride and glide. And that's probably the easiest of gears to use on the uphill. As soon as you go for the double pole, whether it's with a kick or not, you're putting more strain on the arms. If they get tired, my goodness, you're going to feel those last few climbs.
Boy, they're going to feel those last few climbs. Temperature still rising here.
So this 50k in Trondheim is rising to a boil. Finland lead, Russia in second, Germany with the former champion Angra in third, and Canada's Alex Harvey in fourth position, just ahead of the world champion Peter Northug. Well, what a climax we're having to the 2009 season in so many of the winter sports, but the cross-country is right up there with the best, and the men's fight goes on for the overall title. Developments today, Mike. Peter Northug has certainly done himself no harm by picking up bonus seconds on the way round. What about his position relative to that of Dario Colonia, who is the current leader for Switzerland?
Colonia is, I think, now in trouble. He was hanging on in there to keep the time deficit to a catchable margin, but now I think it's too much to bridge, too much of a gap. He's 2:04 behind Juha Järvi, but Northug is 9 seconds off Juha Järvi, so it's looking pretty good at the moment for Peter Northug.
Well, the only good thing for Dario Colonia is that, yes, he's 2 minutes behind, but he's 30 seconds ahead of the next position. So he may well hold on to that top 15 position. If he does so, the damage is limited. Plenty of other sport coming up, as we said. The ski jumping from Vickerson, that is spectacular. Flying over 220 metres, 15:45 European time, so 2:45 if you're watching in the UK. The Nordic combiners will be in action again tomorrow. And 10 o'clock and 11:45 European time for the jump and then the cross-country ski. That could be a decider. And the final of the ski jumping from Vickerson before the tour heads down to Planitza for a cracking ski flying competition down there. So lots to come. David Goldstrom, your host for both the ski flying and the Nordic combined. 38.9. Getting to that magic 10k when you can start to think about letting rip.
Oh, if you've anything left. Just Rickardson and Philbrecht there, they lost contact purely on the ski changeover. I feel that had they gone out with Angerer and the gang, Northug, Alex Harvey, Verpelu, surely they would have still been able to hang on in there.
These two working well together. Juha Järvi's done most of the lead, which plays into the favour of Russia's Maxim Vilexanin, and that group of four still very strong, Mike. Maybe someone else should take their turn at the front.
Well, Angerer, no one else is really willing. I think that's Alex Harvey standing tall, then Peter Northug behind him. Just thinking as they drank, Juha Järvi really took time to drink there. Research carried out at the Oslo 50 kilometre. The Norwegian researchers believe that you have to take on at least 1.2 litres of fluid each hour in a 50 kilometre.
Each hour or throughout the 2 hours. That's a tight corner. Harvey just stays on his feet. Peter Northug, no real problem. I think going back to your point there on the drinking, Mark, there might be one or two physiologists who would take issue with drinking that much, because they say it's dangerous to drink too much.
Well, that's what the experts were saying, and they were trying to feed the athletes that, but when the bottles were getting thrown away, the athletes could not that much fluid on. I agree, 2 litres of fluid is a huge weight in your body. It feels uncomfortable, but they're losing so much sweat in these hot temperatures.
1.5 to 2 litres for the total distance doesn't sound too bad, because they're only racing for 2 hours now. The 50k used to be a 3-hour race. Now it's down to somewhere around 2:15, 2:20 as a slow one. We've seen 50k's just over the 2-hour mark. Going down is Rickardson. So even the Scandinavians fall on cross-country skis. That cheers some of us up. But that was a case of getting caught in one of the ruts that's developed here. And you've got to be so sharp on your feet. We may see fallers on the final lap.
I don't think we'll see Rickardson come back. I don't think he'll make contact again with Philbrecht, and that's where it's so important to keep the focus. Well, they're trying, they really are trying to get back, and the importance of getting back onto that group. Well done, Alex Harvey.
Yeah, Alex Harvey has taken up the chase in the front. Here we go with Vilexanin, who's finally decided to go through. Juha Järvi still looking very fresh, and just from his body language, and he's standing tall when he gets the opportunity to stretch out the back, just try and flush those muscles through with blood, and hence get the oxygen back into all the little muscles that have probably been tense for the last hour, 40 minutes. Now Villigzanen is making a bid for glory. 1 lap to go. The distance 8,312 metres.
You know, they realise, Juha realises, Janin realises they've got to snap Petter Northug out of this lead group, and that surely is why they're trying to break so early with, well, 9 kilometres to go. Have they done it? Have they done it quite yet? You can see the chasing group, and Petter Northug is there. The king of the sprints is lying in 3rd place in that group. The skis laid out for those who want new skis for the final loop. I think it's important to pick up a new pair of skis. There was certainly, Janin was slipping the last time out of the stadium, but he's kept the composure. He's got a great glide on the downhill sections. They're getting closer and closer to falling every corner they come to, and part of it's fatigue, part of it is that the ruts are now up to their halfway up their shins. They've got so deep, and it's just picking the right bit of snow. You've got to be really on the ball. And look at the snow splashing every time the ski poles, the baskets are hitting down into the snow. It's so wet. It really reduces the glide factor. A number of the early athletes, they haven't been lapped, but there's a mini loop behind the leaders now, as you can see on the left. Number 47, one of the local Norwegian skiers, Christian Tetli Renemo from the Henning Ski Club. Northug still there, 8.4 seconds. He can gain 8.4 seconds over the last 100 metres on most people, so he's still a danger to the leaders. And if he picks up 100 points today, that will be absolutely crucial. Now, Juha goes for a change of skis. Brave move. The rest are going straight through. Angera is back in touch with Juha, but the Finn will have better grip on the final climb. Those who haven't changed have been very brave indeed. We'll work out, we'll find out in the next 22 minutes or so who has made the right decision. 15 is Philbrick coming in. Well, Philbrick went up the ski change lane, and then I think he decided against it. Well, he must have thought, well, Rickardson has made a little bit of a comeback after the fall, and it was worth his while to stick in behind him. Well, we saw how much ground Petra Maditz made up, Mike. We didn't get an exact timing, but it was between 40 and 50 seconds she was off the lead, and we all know what happened in that race. She came through to win it, and that was on the last 7-kilometre loop. The value of good skis for the last lap. And the significant thing there was the rest of that lead group didn't change in the last for the last lap. Number 10 is Devon Kershaw of Canada, decides he wants a fresh pair of skis. Luke Kushbauer, last year's overall World Cup champion, goes for fresh skis as well. Maybe you can explain why you think he hasn't had such a good season this year. Well, when you look at their programme and the amount of money that was put into the Czech Republic team, so many days on the glacier camps in Ramsau and down in Italy as well. They were doing like 18 days on the camp in August, September on the glacier for 3 consecutive months, just trying to get the base training in. But I think they overcooked it, they overdid it, and the evidence of that was in the relay where they came 12th. Villigzanen out on his own, not stopping to change skis, has given him some 35-40 metre lead over Juha. In the chasing train, Angera is there. The young Alex Harvey is still there for Canada, and Petter Northug, the danger man over the last 500 metres, is still there as well. There's a former champion, world champion in fact, over the 50-kilometre distance, Oddbjørn Hjelmset. Wonder how many years he's going to go on, Mike. When he turns up, you know he's going to be good. Today, struggling a little bit. Yes, I was surprised. I thought it 1:57 off the pace, but look at that, it's still 11th position. Dario Colonia coming down, the World Cup leader, as you'll know, in yellow. 15th place at the moment, and, well, that could prove expensive. Only 16 points he's going to gain, and if Northug wins and picks up 100, that will be an 85-point difference, plus the bonus points that Northug has, of course, picked up already on this run. It could be the Norwegian in yellow when the Tour goes to Stockholm. This is the leading group in the men's 50-kilometre, and still a little way to
go, just under 8 kilometres, 7.4 to be exact, and only a kilometre of this final loop completed already. But they've started the climb, and this is where Northug needs to stay with the pace. 8.6 behind. He's been 8.6 behind the lead for the last 20-30 minutes. Number 13 going through, Andrus Veerpalu, Estonia's number 1 classic skier at the moment. Jaak Mai's got a great history in the classic races as well. Slightly strange, Mike, why Estonia have excelled at classic, not really at freestyle.
It's weird. It really is. I mean, they've got 2 or 3 main centres, and lots of clubs have sprung up, partly because of the success of Veerpalu and Jaak Mai and Schmigen before them. But it is strange why they've only really excelled in the classic style.
Toby Angra's birthday yesterday, I believe, so he's got a few fans around the course singing.
I'm just looking at the lap times again. So 5 laps gone. The first one 19:55, but that was slightly shorter. Then 20:54, 20:25, 20:34, and the last one 20:27. So the second fastest.
So they're just starting to wind it up, and they certainly haven't eased off in a tactical move on this last loop. Jauhajärvi goes again. He's got 6 or 7 metres clear of Angra, and it looks as though Alex Harvey is going to take up the challenge by moving up. Angra always looks a little bit tight in the shoulders. Don't be put off by that. Trying to stand upright. Make sure he gets as much pressure down through the skis as possible. The angle of Angra's body, and Teichmann's in particular, compared to Jauhajärvi, is some 5 degrees more upright, and that does help. It certainly helps the pressure, the grip that you can get from the ski. You've just got to make sure you've got very good hip extension. Russia still leading. What a great end to the season they're having. Vilugzanin goes through 43.3. The lead at the last checkpoint, 2.9. He's extended it by 0.1, nothing significant. Peter Northug struggling a little bit and losing 3 or 4 places. I'm not sure whether Peter Northug has lost all the grip on his skis or whether that was just a technical fault.
I think maybe when he changed tracks there, the cluster on his skis, but it's all wet snow that should have still glided over the centre part of the tracks.
Well, the atmosphere is building here. Most of the spectators up on the sunshine on the hill love to support the athletes on the climb. That's where you get to see them for longest. It's where your presence is most appreciated. But now with the climax coming, they'll head down towards the stadium to see who is going to win the mad dash to the line. Jens Philbrick still leading Rickardson. These two have been glued together for the last 3 laps, and there's still only 0.9 of a second between them. They'll have a good battle into the finish. The race leader, Russia's Vilugzanin.
Well, he picked up the 15 bonus points there, and that is a worthwhile tactic, but his tactic clearly has been to create some distance ahead of Northug for the final sprint. Surely that's what he's loading up for.
Well, there's no doubt that if you graph Vilugzanin's form, it has been getting better and better, but now he's starting to tire. His personal best coming in a 15 kilometre. This is over 3 times the distance of that. Jauhajärvi finds new strength. He's broken away from Angra, Harvey and Northug. Good skiing from Jauhajärvi. Maybe, Mike, the decision to change skis has been justified already.
Yes, it's proved it again. I was surprised that most of that lead group skied through. They thought they'll save 15-20 seconds. But at the end of the day, it's 8 kilometres you have to go on a much better prepared skis. 50 kilometres is a long way. You do, well, the rules have only recently come in where you can change your equipment, and I think it's a nice, good, positive change to the long distance format. Alex Harvey is impressing me so much today, Patrick. He's only 20 and a half years of age. He has been on the podium 3 times at Junior World Championships, but he's in the big league and it's the big distance.
So not only has Jauha-Järvi got better grip on the uphill, his skis are running beautifully downhill as well. The technicians have done their job and the information to change was correct. The race for the minor placings perhaps, or will Jauha-Järvi still be in danger? Northug is starting to struggle for the first time. They know he's a danger man. They've got to get rid of him before the final kilometre. And the same really applies for Angera, who's a very good sprinter indeed.
He is, but look at Jauha-Järvi again. It's the double, it's the arm power. He seems to take the arm power so far up into the hill, a little more than the rest.
Big moment for Alex Harvey, chance of getting on the podium here. He's wearing bib number 35, which is indicative of his World Cup position in the distance races, and he's certainly outperforming all expectations today. A very good junior. He did well. He got a medal in the 10 kilometre in the Classic in the Junior World Championships last year. He got 2 fourth places, showing consistency. There is no doubt that he's got the right genes.
He has. That's the total of the bonus points. No more to come. 45 for Petter Northug.
Well, that's useful points for Northug, and before the race has even finished, he's closed that gap down in the World Cup standings. He was 54 behind, so he's now only 9 points behind, and there's no doubt that he's going to gain more than 9 points on Dario Colonia. So the Swiss skier, who has led since before Christmas, is suddenly going to find the yellow bib has been taken away.
Well, Colonia is down in 17th position, but his time, it was 2 minutes deficit last time. It's 3 minutes 19 now, although the pace at the front has gone mad again.
Well, no surprise. This is the bid for glory. Harvey's still in there with a chance, and somehow Northug keeps on hanging on in there. What a wonderful effort from him. Number 17, Vilugzanin, who led for a good 2 or 3 kilometres, is at the back of that chasing group, but on his own, and some 100 metres clear now. It is Jauha-Järvi of Finland. What a day for him.
Yeah, do you know that change of skis the last time round? It's made a difference. He did have a 4-second advantage going into the changeover zone, but he dropped back down into 5th place. But it's paid back, just like it did for Maric in the women's race.
Well, he's a member of the Vuokatti ski club. He lives in Rovaniemi, where cross-country skiing is very much part of the culture up there, the national sport in Finland. They're very good at all winter sports, to be honest. The snowboarding, they've got some real stuntmen out on the snowboards, and here they go for the last mini loop on the men's 50 kilometre. Just under 4 kilometres to go. Jauha-Järvi's lead, 10 seconds. Is it going to be enough to hold off the sprinting might of Angera and Petter Northug? We're not quite sure what Alex Harvey's going to be able to do at this stage, but for 20 years old, he has already made a big name for himself here today.
He absolutely has. He's hung on in there for 1:54. The pace has been so fast, and it's a different 50 kilometre. Normally it's the big pack lasting for 30 kilometres together, but not today.
Angera has opened up a little bit of a gap over Harvey. Northug hasn't been able to respond to that. Up the climb for the last time. Again, it's double poling power from Jauha-Järvi. He's short, he's powerful. Angera still bolt upright, like a set of Meccano skiing.
Angera wants this so badly. He wants a first place back on his track record. He's still my favourite, Angera. Petter Northug, I think he's like a dead man walking. He is just running out of energy. So 3,500 metres to go. We'll take one final break here on Eurosport. We'll be back for the finale of the men's 50. Petter Northug finally is broken with just over 3 kilometres to go. Looks as though he's going to be out of the podium positions, but he's put in a very good effort when you consider what he had to do in the sprint. Oh, he's absolutely finished. He's got to be careful that he doesn't lose more places. If he can get to the top of the hill, get a little bit of recovery, there is no way that even if he produces his best sprint, he's going to catch this man, because Jauha-Järvi is on a mission. 4 podium finishes in the World Cup to date. He has never won a race. The only man who can really challenge him now is
Angera of Germany, who has upped the pace. He's gone up a gear, Mike, and he's digging deep like he used to do back in 06-07.
Well, Angera was the big threat man from 1.5 kilometres out. That's when Angera used to go in these mass start races, and I think Angera is trying to find something. Petter Northug is incredible. He is more exhausted, I think, than he's ever been before.
His technique has gone. He's starting to run up the hills like a British novice, and but you can't blame him. He has dug so deep, but he's done good work. What we don't know, what we'll never know, is how much damage those sprints have done. But experience tells us from watching many of these races, Mike, that if you get involved for the sprints, for the little bonus points, it costs you come the end of the race.
What I'm thinking, Patrick, now is that after today, if your name is Petter Northug, he might even find it difficult to come back into the next sprint races with any sense of form, because he's been going down, or he's been pushing so hard throughout the World Championships, throughout last week, winning the sprints, 7th in the 15 kilometre, but he had to dig deep. He moved up from 17th to 7th in only the last 2 kilometres.
Look at the damage that Järvi has gone. When we last saw him, he was only 10 seconds clear, and that margin has certainly grown. We'll find out in just a minute. There comes Angera of Germany, the clock ticking away. He's still got visual contact with the leader, but I think with just under 3 kilometres to go, it's a little bit late. He's got to put the afterburners on now if he wants to catch the Finn. The race for the 3rd place here in Trondheim is going to be fascinating. Järvi has never been on the podium, and Villegzanin outside the top 25 of the World Cup standings. In fact, he's down in 35th in the World Cup standings. He had a very good run in the World Championships. That was the best he's done. His best World Cup result so far this year is a 6th place. So he would love to get himself on the podium. He's only got to overhaul a second. Northug has company.
I think Northug is just so happy that the most of the course that's left is downhill, because he can glide down to the finish line. He is absolutely strapped of all the energy he had. And he's in the company of Verpelu. Toby Angera's not going to give in, but it just looks incredible, the pace now that Järvi has. He's looking dynamic. He's looking like it's the first 5 kilometres of the 50. And look at the damage he's creating to the rest of the pack. Angera's definitely won't give in. He'll see that there is hope, but I think it's a very slim, slender hope that he can move up into 1st place.
Well, the Finns missed victory in the women's race this morning. Saarinen not quite getting the pacing right. Koitinen didn't race today. Moranen was off the pace. Alex Järvi delicately round that sharp left-hander. If it was icy conditions, that really would be treacherous. One more turn for Peter Angera, coming down to the bottom of the stadium.
Look at this arm power again. He saved, well, it saves the legs just a little, but he's taking the double poling so much farther up the hill than the rest. Well, that's a steep climb.
That shows his strength, certainly, and it's a tactic that seems to work, but it wouldn't work for everyone.
No, it wouldn't. And at this stage in the race, when you're putting so much pressure through the stomach muscles, there's a serious risk of cramping. You really are at the limit. You need to get more fluid on board. The legs will be beginning to cramp over this 50 kilometres.
Well, again, he's done damage to Angera on that little climb, carrying the speed through. Petter Northug, good news if you're a fan of his. He's managed to hold on to Verpelu, and he's getting the Estonian to drag him through to the finish line now. He's pretty much out on his feet. This man feeling good, looking good, and going extremely well. His first World Cup victory now just 2,000 metres away.
He looks incredibly strong, Patrick. The form hasn't gone. He's holding on the downhill sections. In fact, very good cornering on those very tight right-handers and left-handers further back, and then this incredible double poling power. So strong. He's not a tall figure compared to those who are chasing him. One of the smallest in the World Cup field.
Does this compare to the World Championship atmosphere?
It's certainly, I think, a little better. There were lots, 17,000, over 20,000 trackside, but there's something special in Norway, isn't there?
Well, there's something special. You can see the numbers in the stadium. There are many, many thousands more out in the woods supporting every inch of this 50-kilometre. Joha Järvi will be well appreciated here. I know he's not Norwegian. Now the battle for third. Harvey has stepped it up. Villigzanen looking to get on the podium for the second time this season, but Harvey, the 20-year-old, has just exploded. Little stumble from him there into the home straight for Joha Järvi of Finland. What a beautiful moment for him. He's waited a long, long time to get his first World Cup win. It is coming his way today. He got a podium for the first time back in 2007. He got a taste of it again in Davos in 2008. And second place in Val di Fiemme in the mass start. Maybe that's where he realised he had the tactical nous to win a race like this. And now the pain has all disappeared. He knows he's getting the 100 points. That's not really what he's interested in. It is all about being able to say, I won a race. I won the most coveted race of the season. Not the Holmenkollen 50, it's the Trondheim 50 that he has claimed here today.
Great effort. He ran that race. He knew he had to take the sting out of Petter Northug, so it was a completely different personality, this race. It was fast from early on.
So we have a new winner. The first time the Finns get a male victor this season to add to the success that they've had in the women's tour. Nice to see Peter Angera with another good run. Toby Angera, I should say. I'm winding the clock back a bit. Toby Angera, 21.8. Now, will Harvey hold on to third place? Villigzanen of Russia, there's nothing left to give. Absolutely nothing left to give. And Harvey's on the podium for the first time. His father won this race back in 1988. Here in 2009, Alex Harvey has taken a step closer to glory. Is he the man to watch out for in the Winter Olympics next year? It could so easily happen for him. Northug gets fifth. I know he's out for the count, but that is very, very, very useful World Cup points. 45 points plus the 45 he got for bonuses. He picks up a total of 90, and I don't have much doubt that he is going to go ahead of Dario Colonia of Switzerland. We'll try and find out how Dario is getting on in the closing stages. He was down to 17th when we last saw him.
What an athlete Northug. He really was struggling out there, but he didn't give up. He never gives up. Colonia just trying to find him at 47.2. Yeah, there he is, still 17th position, just under 4 minutes behind. Alex Harvey, that is an incredible result, just ahead of Villigzanen, who took the gold medal at the World Championship. Sorry, the silver medal, of course, behind Northug.
Rickardson just managing to outclass Philbrick in the closing stages. A tired-looking Devon Kershaw to put two Canadians into the top 7. They haven't quite got there in the biathlon, but they really have made leaps and bounds in the cross-country skiing world, and they are certainly going to challenge for medals. They may not get golds, but they will challenge for medals in their own Olympics next year.
Oh, and I think with Devon there, what, placed 7th, Devon Kershaw, Alex in 3rd place, you've got a relay team that can seriously contend for the medals at the Olympics. And in all the races now, because Kershaw has been on the podium earlier this season, and Lukas Bauer, who wanted to be on the podium every day at the Worlds, made it once in silver position.
.2:02:39, the winning time, averaging just under 25 kilometers an hour. Really is a staggering speed. One of the most popular men on the tour, certainly in this part of the world. Oddbjørn Hjelmset. He's tall, he's lanky, he's a great character, and it's great to see him back in action in the 50 kilometer at the end of the season. 11th place, very respectable. The world champion from back in 2007. What a career he's had. I think you could even say he enjoyed that.
I think it was as far back as Thunder Bay when he had his first chance at the World Championships.
Looks like the yellow bib of Dario Colonia might be coming up the home straight, waiting for him. He was 17th last time we saw him, and that would have meant just 14 points picked up on the day. Pietro Pillicotra, the leader of the distance World Cup standings, his status as that might be in danger, but Colonia was second. Third place was Axel Teichmann, and both those two men have really struggled. So I think Pillicotra will stay as the number one in the distance. Here comes Colonia. Is it going to be 15th or 16th? No, he's got 15, so he gets 16 World Cup points to take his total to 1,022, and with Northug picking up 90 points, he goes to 1,042. So Northug is the new leader of the overall World Cup standings. We'll get official confirmation of that, I hope, before we leave today. 25, Kerdin Pearl of Switzerland. So the Swiss with 2 in the top 20. That's respectable. Matching the Swedes. Olsen 16th. Yakmai 4 minutes 38 behind. Mike, what's that, around 1,500 metres?
Yeah.
Or more.
More on this course, but Yakmai 5th at the World Championships in the 15 kilometre.
A club skier from Norway, Hoff, getting himself into 19th position. Erlend Hoff, that is a very good run. Orson of Norway, another club skier, and they're all showing what talent they have and how much strength in depth the Norwegians have. But today, it's not the Norwegians who take the top prize. It is Jauha Järvi of Finland with his first ever win. So what a great day, particularly started with Magic's win in the women's 30, an extraordinary race with so many tactics employed, so many mistakes made, and then the men's 50, it's always a classic, Mike.
It's such a race. Toby Angerer, he tried, he was there with intent throughout the whole race, but he great result still in second place, 21 seconds behind. Alex Harvey, for me, the outstanding performance in this 50 kilometre, third place on the podium at 20 years of age.
Well, the Tour stays in Scandinavia for the rest of the season. Stockholm hosting the next round. It's a sprint in 4 days' time. And then they go to Falun, the capital of Swedish cross-country skiing, for the last 3 races of the year. The overall titles are yet to be decided. Magic leads the women's, and Peter Northug of Norway now leads the men's.